I did a fair bit of research into decision-making models and actually found that I didn't really like any of them particularly, so I've crafted my own. So this is me doing a decision-making model, thinking about the process that people go through in order to make decisions. So first piece is about clarifying the decision that actually is required. What is the decision that needs to be made? And then second piece is about the urgency of it. Is this a decision that has to be made now, or is it something that can wait? Sometimes we get that confused and feel like we have to make a decision today, but actually we've got 6 months until we need to make that decision. So just being clear about the urgency. Is this something that needs to be done today, now, in this moment, or is this something that is for a future date? Number 3 is about options. What are the options around that decision? They could include doing something, they could include doing nothing. They could include a whole range of different alternative things that could be done. So being clear about what those options are. The next piece is about the criteria to use to help you evaluate the actual decision. So what's important to you about this decision? You know, what's the piece of alignment to your values, for example? Well, actually, you know, the most important thing about this particular decision is about it's about money, or it's about supporting something, or it's about moral obligation. So what are the criteria that are actually going to help us to make a good decision? What do we need to kind of think about in terms of the right criteria, the right categories? And then we're going to prioritise the importance of those things. So there can be lots of influences on the decision we make, but what's actually really important here? Is it more about money, or is it more about the moral obligation? What's more important to you in this scenario? What's going to be the killer criteria that needs to be at the top of the list, starred and asterisked and underlined? What's the really important thing here in helping us to make this decision? And then we're going to evaluate the pros and cons of it. So if we look at those different options and we think, okay, you know, we've got lots of different things on the table. What are the positives? What are the negatives? What are the drawbacks? What are the benefits of these different things? So we just do pros and cons for each of those options and figure out, you know, what's coming through most strongly there. We use all of that information in order to make the decision. So we look at those pros and cons, and it will lead us to something that says one of those options is more effective than other things. So we make the decision. We actually make the decision and say, okay, based on all of the information that we've been through, based on our criteria, based on our evaluation and our prioritization of it, what is the most likely option? What's the best thing in terms of that process? And then we sit with it and we go, okay, if that is the decision, how do I actually feel about it? How does it sit with me? What's going on now in terms of that decision and my response to it? And we can adjust if we need to. It's important that people feel that that they have done that kind of alignment piece around the decision. And then the final piece is to test it out. Let's just see, you know, if we imagine ourselves a year down the line having made that decision and look back on this decision today from a year, what does that feel like? What will happen then? What's the consequence? What do we think and feel about that sort of decision that we've made today? So we're going to test, we're going to play with it. You can do this conceptually. We don't have to do this in a very practical way, although sometimes it is good to practice and do something physical, tangible in the world. But we can do it as a concept. So what is it if I lean 3 or 4 years into the future that I